Hey, business building warrior. Welcome to Silent Sales Machine Radio. Have an unusual episode today. I am interviewing a guest, but he's only been in our community a few weeks. What I did is I put a post on the Facebook group and I said, I need someone who has a lot of questions, someone who's thinking about doing this business of selling on Amazon, being a reseller, but you've got questions, you've got concerns, you're a little confused about a few points. Let's just have an open conversation, open mic, ask me anything and let's see where the conversation goes. I've done this a couple times before, and both episodes turned out to be so helpful. We got such great feedback. I thought, man, let's do it again. So Michael, who you'll meet in a minute, he's been in our community at this point for about 3 weeks now. He's sold about 20 items. He has a lot of questions. You're going to enjoy our conversation. Everything about finding good sources for products, ungating. Should I buy an existing business? What about drop shipping? What about, what was the other topic? We had a really good one at the start. Well, you'll hear it in just a minute. He was about to make some pretty bad decisions, and I kind of talked him out of some of those things because there is a lot of shiny objects out there. There are a lot of people, I know what it was, talking about even done for you. Like, hey, just give us some money. We'll build your store for you. We talk about those kinds of things on today's episode, and we dive into some very specific things that he could and should be doing to start to get on the right path and to really build something special. That's what this episode is all about today, is answering those questions. If you're new to our community and you feel like your questions are silly or a little uninformed, or maybe I need to study more before I try to ask questions, no, that's okay. Ask your questions in your own awkward way. We'll help you reshape your questions, help you ask the right questions, give you the good answers. Keep in mind, there's a reason this podcast has hundreds of success stories. Our Facebook group at silentjimdotcom, which Michael talks about today, the impression he has of the group a few weeks in, hundreds of us succeeding. We know our stuff. We're doing this all day, every day, and we want you to succeed as well. You'll hear me talk with Michael today. We don't see new sellers as competition. We see you as future contributors to the momentum, to the generosity, to the new creative ideas of our community. We know that your success is going to fuel more success for this community because we're swimming in this rapidly expanding, already massive blue ocean of opportunity for you to come in and begin to enjoy and benefit and then contribute with your creative ideas and insights. We're going to all benefit. So we love seeing newbies get up to speed, helping you ramp up. That's what we do here. And that's what we did in our conversation with Michael, who I think feels very good about the opportunity now at this point. I think he's going to have a lot of fun building his business up based on the directions I gave him today and some of the insights that we came to. So enjoy this conversation with a newbie. A clueless newbie is what we call you guys around here sometimes, affectionately, of course, but we're always glad to add you to our ranks. And we love to see those clueless newbies ride that rocket ship and start teaching us all what it is they're learning on the journey. Thanks for hanging out with us today. Enjoy this conversation with a new student. So Michael, welcome to the podcast. Good to see you, man.
Thank you for having me. It's good to be here.
Looking forward to this. I've only done this a couple times before with over 1,000 episodes. Only a couple times have I done something like this, and I've really enjoyed it every time. So thanks for agreeing to do this with us.
Yep, no problem.
Happy to be here. Tell us a little bit about yourself, maybe how you found our community, and get us rolling with some introductory thoughts there, and then we'll get right into it.
That sounds good. So I've had a long career in technology companies, health tech. Found myself not working as of a couple months ago and trying to figure out what to do next. And one of the ideas I had before I knew anything about selling on Amazon or anything like that was just maybe I'll buy a company and figure out a way to do that. And sort of at the stage of my life, I looked at franchises, I looked at a bunch of different ideas, and then thought, what if I could find something where if I decided to move, I'm in California, maybe I leave one day, what could I do where I don't have a store, for example?
Yeah, and physical location where you have to visit every day, that sort of thing, or even to keep an eye on it if it's a franchise, right? Like I at least need to be able to keep an eye on this place.
Exactly. Right. kind of came to find some platforms that deal in online companies, e-commerce companies,
Mm-hmm.
buy and sell platforms, and kind of went down this path of looking at potentially buying a company that was doing some electronics business selling on Amazon,
Okay.
and asking for what I thought in terms of sort of relative to what I'm used to in the business world. I thought a reasonable multiple kind of seemed relatively simple. And so I kind of went down this path and I talked to them and even got to the point of making an offer. What I sort of learned as I researched further was a lot of people thought that was just a really bad idea for me. And I'm assuming you might agree once you knew the details,
You
because
gave me the numbers and what they're selling, if it's their own product or not. Yeah, I can help
yeah,
you make a pretty quick decision.
yeah, exactly. And sort of what I even to myself, I thought, well, why couldn't I just do that? And why do I have to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars potentially to somebody? I think there is benefit of having this, or allure of having sort of instant revenue and sales, which is obviously what we all want here. But what if I just backed up and said, well, how do you even do this in the first place? So
Mm-hmm.
in parallel to exploring that idea, I started to kind of become familiar with the basics, the very basics, not even a lot of the things that are taught in your program, but just what's a seller account? How do you do this? What's gating? All these terms I wasn't familiar with. And
Of
I
course.
guess for context for everybody, I'm about 3 weeks into this. So I don't have months of experience and I have a lot of questions still. So hopefully this will be helpful too to a lot
I
of
think
folks.
it'll be very helpful to a lot of people because we do have a lot of people in our community who are about where you are, maybe a little ahead, but maybe even greener than you. They
Mhm.
come to us and ask a lot of the same common questions. So I think this is going to serve not just you very well today, Michael, which is my intent, but the listeners who are on the newer end of the spectrum as well. So yeah, thank you for agreeing to do this. I appreciate
Yeah,
it.
yeah, for sure. Yeah. So I probably, like a lot of folks out there, sort of have been hit with, as I started researching, sort of got hit with ads on my Facebook and my Instagram,
Of
and
course.
this is what we do. And in fact, and maybe this is true of some other folks out there, kind of started this journey with talking to a number of these companies that do this, that we do it for you model. Did a lot of 30 to 1 hour conversations. I give them money, they build me my store. We'll give you 3 products. And I think where I sort of landed, this maybe is on my question list, is I think a lot of those companies, if not all of them, tend to be trying to really more interested in their wholesalers themselves. And so they're trying to sell their products on the store they build for you.
Mhm.
And so they're kind of winning on both ends. I don't know if that's true. I kind
Yeah.
of read that a few
Well,
places.
I could throw a fun little, I don't know if you're an NFL fan or not, but I'm going to throw a little yellow flag on the field. Okay. We put out a $10,000 reward. It's been, I don't know, 2.5, 3 years ago. It's still out there, still outstanding. $10,000 reward for anyone who has a legitimate success story testimonial from one of those companies.
Okay.
And no one's claimed it yet.
Okay.
So,
Good to know. Good
if
to
that
know.
tells you
So,
anything,
yeah. Yeah,
the
definitely.
whole done for you model is so broken. It's a complete scam, in my opinion.
Okay.
And so many of those wholesalers have been exposed, and we can dive into this a little deeper if you'd like, but they're not selling authorized products.
Yeah.
The source has to be authorized. And without that opening up that whole can of worms, it's actually a pretty simple thing to explain, but I don't want to derail us this early. I think the $10,000 reward concept makes its own kind of
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
We've been very vocal about it. The done for you model just does not work, and for many, many reasons. Primarily, you're selling products that ultimately get you banned,
Got it.
typically. And if
Got it.
even then, if not, there's so many other problems with that model. So yeah, we can continue, but I just wanted to shoot that one down. That's an easy target for me.
Okay. Sounds good. So anyway, I started with buy a company. I got to hearing about these done for you models. And then there were sort of, I guess I took the long road, but found, I think it was just your offer. It was like hey, just try this. It was, I think, the book. And again, I've watched probably half the videos that have come with that so far. Haven't
Okay.
had a chance to watch too many, or sorry, listen to the podcasts. One of my areas of, I guess, challenge, and maybe some other folks are having this too, is there's just so much information out there that
Yes.
it's hard to figure out where to spend. And I'm not working, as I said earlier. I have a lot of time,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
do I look for products to sell? Do I listen to the podcast? Do I coach? There's
Yeah.
a lot of opportunities and options out there. So figuring out, and found your group, and the Facebook group's been great. I think you or your team's been answering a lot of my silly questions, but there's also some other folks and teams out there doing something similar. So I'm trying to figure out, what do they do versus what do you do?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm still in that phase of trying to figure out, well, how do I find what I need and focus my time and attention on those things?
Yeah. I love it. Okay. Can I tackle a couple of the points you just made
Yeah,
and
for
then we'll
sure.
proceed? And maybe that'll open us up to some other points. So what I just heard you say is you're still in research mode. You've got a few of our resources. You're starting to dig through. You're curious what order you should even tackle it in. If you do decide to be serious, we can hit that.
Mhm.
But something else I think is a bigger picture question that you've started to answer for yourself, but I think a lot of folks maybe haven't answered it all yet. So let's hit this one first. And that is, how do I know who to trust? How do I know who's worth listening to? How can I distinguish the legitimate opportunities online from the ones that either aren't a good fit or are borderline dangerous or irresponsible, or right? Like, how do you? And I've been doing this 24 years, Michael. So I think the best advice I can give, I mean, I could do an hour presentation on this. I'm not going to, because I can do 95% of the work in about 45 seconds. It's one simple question that you have to ask of the person presenting the ideas to you. I don't know if it's a website or if it's a Reddit group you're in and someone's got something they're trying to sell, or if it's a coaching call you're on and they're trying to pitch you some offer. It's simply this: show me where I can go to hang out online with the students who are successfully operating the model that you're about to teach me. Where can I go to hang out with them? That's it. 95% of the time, you're going to get one of two answers. We don't have that, which is just them being honest. They're going to ignore you. That's the same thing. Or we don't share that information. That's proprietary. We protect the integrity and the privacy of our students, blah, 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 blah. Like, okay, I hear you loud and clear. You don't have any success stories to show off to the world. Because when people start pursuing a business model online, if there's some success there, they're going to find others who are in that same arena and they're going to hang out either with or without the permission of the person who's taught them.
Mhm.
You with me?
Yeah.
They're going to find that common, there's going to be a group, there's going to be a place where they hang out. And something I'm very proud of in our case is, and you've experienced our Facebook group, we've got 82,000 people in there. We've been doing e-commerce coaching for 23 years. So we've got students we coached over 20 years ago who are in that group. And we got people who bought a $7 book from us yesterday. They're all in the same big group, hanging out, transparently having conversations. So I'm very proud of that. But that's what you're looking for. And I can tell you that the vast majority of the time, you're just not going to find that. And that's the quickest way to cut through from the impressive ad with a picture of Sally from Spokane and she made $8,000 last month. Well, who is this Sally? Is she a real person? Can I meet her? Can I have a conversation with her? In our case, you can. Hundreds of podcast episodes with real names listed. And those are people who are in our Facebook group, assuming they haven't sold their business or moved on to do something else. In which case they'll tell you, yeah, I did it for a while. I don't anymore. I've moved on to a different business model, perhaps. But look for that transparency, look for that community, and that will really cut through the chase. That's my advice to you and anyone else, is to always look for that,
Got it.
regardless of what the opportunity is. And there's just not a lot of other opportunities out there, to my knowledge, that meet the requirements we have. And I'll toss the ball back to you in just a second, but we set out to find the lowest risk, lowest entry point cost wise, shortest learning curve, highest odds of success business model that we could find. And as long as it's legitimate and legal and you can be proud of what you're doing and talk about it over Thanksgiving dinner, like we want that model. What is it? That's what we teach. We found it. And if something beats it, we'll pursue that, prove it out, and start teaching it instead. But right now, it's the model we teach to new Amazon sellers. It's the, filling the underserved shelf space in Amazon's hundreds of warehouses. That's it. And until something beats it, that's what we do here. So yeah, back to you. What thoughts does that have? Is that helpful information?
Yeah, that's really helpful. And I buy all that. That sounds like something to take home. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
appreciate
take your time, research it,
Yep.
meet some of these people, have some of the conversations. You're in our Facebook group. What's your initial impression just a few weeks in? I know you'll probably, evolve into other opinions and thoughts over time, but so far, what are you seeing? What are you experiencing?
Yeah. So I wondered whether it was just a timing thing, but I think or the day or the week I decided to sort of put some research or some thoughts into this was the day, at least maybe it happened before this, that you started or your group started promoting 3P Mercury.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I kind of quickly, and I was having all sorts of trouble, and I know this will resonate with just finding products, ASINs, et cetera. Just how do I even get started here? And
Mm-hmm.
it was a very quick, hey, go try this. This thing's really, it's groundbreaking. So I think I kind of quickly ended up getting that software. They've got a Facebook group. Getting a little confused, to be honest, as to are these all different entities, or because I think there's been a few since then. Oh, here's something else to try. You should try this. So frankly, your Facebook group and then the 3P Mercury one, I don't know if they're separate, or I think they're different groups, obviously, but I
Yeah.
don't know. Sometimes I just post and hope somebody in one or the other group, has the answer for me. So,
Sure.
but
Yeah.
yeah,
I can
the
certainly
great,
speak to that if you'd like, or you
yeah,
can continue.
yeah, no, I do. I would like you to. I will just say though that that the motto or the saying of there's no dumb questions. I think I've maybe proven that wrong, but I have asked a lot of questions that I know are answered in various materials, but folks are very quick to respond. And I'm not sitting there 3 days later wondering what the answer to that question is, because I can't really do my next step until I sort of know what to do. And so responsiveness to your point and knowledge have been great throughout. But
Good.
yeah,
Good to
I'd
hear.
love to hear your
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
your response
Well,
there.
I'll speak to that first, and then I'll address the question you had. And there's what you're detecting, I think, is I call it an abundance-minded culture, meaning we teach and we believe and we demonstrate constantly that if we can create more success stories in this community, that rising tide helps all of us.
Mhm.
Because you're going to come in, you've got your background in electronics and sales, right? You're familiar with that arena, technology sales. There's going to be some insight or connection or something. If we can help you get successful and confident with this community, you're going to bring some asset to the table that's going to benefit maybe not all of us, but a whole bunch of us, because we've seen it over and over and over. Success breeds more success is kind of the motto, right? We don't see you as a competitor where it'd be in our best interest to prevent your success somehow. We see you as a fellow, we call it business building warrior, meaning if you succeed, hey man, we take more territory, there's more opportunity. Because fortunately for all of us, we're swimming in a rapidly expanding blue ocean of opportunity with no end in sight. E-commerce is still far less than 20% of all retail activity in the US. Many people guess as high as 60, 70, 80, 90% of all economic activity in retail is online. It's not. It's way less than 20% and growing rapidly. So we need each other. Your success is our success. There's no stupid questions. We want to help you succeed because, again, we know your success will breed and fuel more of us to succeed. That's the first point. That's the crowdsourcing of our support and encouragement that we've been able to do so successfully in that group. And you've experienced it. To your second point, and I'll make it even a little bigger topic and see if you agree with this statement. You mentioned a couple different podcasts, or excuse me, a couple different Facebook groups, right? Like, okay, which one's which? What's the delineation? Are these the same thing? Well, I'll make it even worse before I make it better. Okay. Kind of like getting a tooth pulled. Make it worse and then we'll make it better. Okay. There's software programs you're hearing. There's different approaches and different strategies. There's different options, learn at your own pace versus use a course versus coaching versus workshop, like so many different options out there. And that can absolutely be overwhelming. But what we've never attempted to do here, because I think it's futile and I think it's runs contrary to the reality of how businesses thrive and grow and establish, is cookie cutter. There's nothing cookie cutter about business success. And I would even go so far as to say, if anyone ever does say, hey, I've got the formula, anybody with $50 in their pocket can press button 1, press button 2, press button 3, and magically now you're going to have $500. That doesn't exist. That, right? And anyone with any measure of common sense will recognize that. That's nonsense.
Yeah.
Everyone has a unique starting point, a unique set of marginal restrictions, the time, money in the bank, how many other distractions do they have? Is this one of 15 businesses they're going to be running? Or is this getting their full time and attention and devotion, right? So depending on all those factors, what stage are you at? Are you brand new? Or you been doing this about 6 months? Because, and here's where I start to bring some clarity to all these moving parts. It's going to be a very customized journey that you're about to embark upon. And while there may be a handful of other people who kind of did it exactly the way you did, the vast majority of us did it a little differently. We had a preference, for example, for this sourcing strategy over here, as opposed to that sourcing strategy. I'll give you an example of that. Some people will come into our community and say, under no circumstances do I ever want to set foot in a store and put a product in a shopping cart and bring it home. And I'm like, all right, time out. I hear you loud and clear. You don't have to do that if you don't want to. You can do it online. You can have those online products delivered to a prep center if you don't want to touch the products at home, right? There's different paths to the same destination. That means you're going to be using slightly different tools, slightly different strategies, slightly different training. But the end goal, here's where I can bring some clarification. The end goal is Amazon has hundreds of warehouses around the United States, and millions of popular products that are selling very well are either completely unstocked or understocked in those warehouses. So if we reverse out of that, do you want to find some of those products that you can fulfill using wholesale strategies? Do you want to find some of those products you can fulfill using retail store shelves? The Walmart down the street will do just fine. Do you want to shop online? Do you want to hire a virtual assistant to do all of that for you? Do you want to have a prep center where those products are delivered, or you want to prep them in your own garage? And depending on your answers to those questions, which may evolve over time and you may change your mind, it starts off on your kitchen table and quickly transitions to a prep center in another state, right? Over time, you're going to need different training, different tools, different approach. And you're hearing everybody talking about all of this in one big arena.
Yeah.
Now, to your question about the big Facebook group, the 82,000 group that's linked to at silentjim.com, that's our main home base. That's come one, come all, ask anything about any tool, any course, any strategy, even some of the other Amazon strategies that have nothing to do with what we're discussing here. Just as a quick aside, for example, let's say you start having a lot of success filling Amazon's shelves with these popular products that are understocked or unstocked. And one of these brands starts to really resonate and take off. And you reach out to that brand and you say, hey, I'm selling a lot of your stuff. Let's build a relationship here. And they say, wow, we've been waiting for someone like you to come along. We'd love to pay you very well to help our brand grow on Amazon because that platform intimidates us. This happens all the time, by the way. Now you're off into a completely different strategy. We call it the product partnering strategy. And you can make a killing without having to buy any inventory at that point because you're just selling their stuff on Amazon and getting a percent. Well, that's an entirely different group training strategy, but those conversations are all appearing in that same big pool. You with me? Yeah. So that's where it can kind of start to feel like, wow, there's so many things going on here. Well, that's because there are, but we've got groups where you can kind of drift into specialization groups. And one of the groups we're very excited about right now, one of the concepts, think of it almost as a silo, an offshoot of the big crowded, noisy room, is 3P Mercury. which for the first time, and I'll kick the ball back to you in a second because you may have some new questions brewing after all this, but for the first time ever, it's now possible. And we've been working on this for a couple of years. I have a ownership position in this software, by the way. Our community has helped shape this. It's the first crowdsourced software for Amazon sellers. The development process has been crowdsourced, to my knowledge. And it simplifies that model I described to you earlier of filling Amazon's understocked and unstocked shelf space. It automates that to a degree that's never been possible before, meaning you just throw a whole bunch of products in the software monitors all of them for you. And when one of them makes sense, it's like, hey, time to buy this one. It's looking good right now based on the filters that we've set up and that you can adjust to your own needs. So the software does a lot of the thinking and heavy lifting, and it's getting better all the time at that. But again, that's just one model of the many models we teach here. So is that bringing in some clarity to the picture?
Clarity and like you said, a lot. I think the way you said everybody's path will be different potentially. And so it really, what I've seen and maybe others have seen too, is just you have to take what you have to find that path for yourself. And that's so.
And we'd love to help you find it as well.
Yeah.
Because you do have a unique set of opportunities in front of you where you live, the relationships you have, the connections you have, the amount of money you have or don't have, the amount of time you have or don't have, even relational. We've figured out there's such a thing as relational margin. I don't know if anyone's ever used that term or not, but I use it because if you've got a spouse who's like, you're a crazy entrepreneur, and if you spend another dollar, mister, like now's probably not the best time to go take a big gamble, right? Let's earn while we learn and wade into this really slow and bring her along because she understandably is skeptical. The last 8 ideas you had crashed and burned, right? So do you have relational margin where your spouse is your biggest cheerleader? Or is that under some strain right now? So all those factors kind of determine the speed, how aggressive, which strategies you might try, which tools you might use, because some of them are slightly more expensive than others.
Sure.
There's a reason for it, but business is risk, as you know, and you don't want to be buying something that you just don't need. Some people can afford to do that for a few months and try it. Other people, that's a big deal. To buy a $100 a month tool and not use it for 6 months is a really big deal to some people. To others, it's like, oh yeah, I'll turn that off someday. Care less, right? $100 isn't the same to 100 different people. It's a very different number to all of them, right? So that's I call that margin. So yeah, you're absolutely right. It's a choose your own adventure, but we've tried to cover every eventuality of your starting point, how fast you can go, the margin you have in your life. And that's why it feels like, I think it's a frustrating thing for people who come in thinking, tell me step 1, 2, and 3, just like you did with everyone else. We're like, well, it's a little different game, but that's why we have coaching as well. That's a very personalized mentorship, almost a discipleship type of like, I'm going to help you based on where you are. Like every good coach you ever had, they didn't start you off assuming you were someone else. Let's go. They started off assuming you were you. They get to know you. And then they said, here's the map forward and here's the steps we're going to take. I'm so proud of our coaching program, the longest running e-commerce coaching program in the world, to my knowledge, by the way. But that's an aside. So that's a very personalized way to do it. Or you do just kind of choose your own adventure, ask questions, and get directed to the resources you need as you need them. We're happy to accommodate either scenario.
Got it. Well, so one thing you said I was happy to hear, and I'm sure others are too, which is I have no interest in going down the rows at a retail store with my phone, aiming it at price tags and things like that. So I was happy to hear you say that you don't have to do that.
No, of course not.
But yeah, in looking at my sort of list of questions for that, I think I've seen posts about this in the Facebook group, so I know I'm not alone. My biggest challenge today, again, since I'm not doing that, is I think you have maybe have even answered one of my questions in the Facebook group, was I found through 3P Mercury and other sources like lots of potential products, which is great because the first week of doing this, I didn't have any, basically. Where I'm kind of struggling is I asked this question in the group as, okay, so do the software programs, 3P Mercury or other, I think I asked 3P Mercury folks this question too. Like, okay, so does the software tell me where to go find the product, source the product essentially? And I was like, no. And again, that was one of my silly questions, which now I didn't know at the time, but I think your answer was you Google it,
Yeah.
right?
Google is your friend. AI
Google
is
is
your
your friend.
friend.
Yeah. I haven't
Grok,
had a lot.
ChatGPT.
Yeah, I haven't had a ton of luck, and I guess I'll say this for the group
Yeah.
listening. I've sold 20 items so far. It's
Oh, that's
been,
great though.
yeah. So I feel great. I'm not at zero. I
Yeah.
found some items to list and people
Good.
actually bought them. So I feel great. But I'm finding hundreds or thousands of plenty of items to sell. I'm not finding hundreds or thousands of places to find them. So
Mhm.
if there's any generic, like broad advice you could give me, and I'm sure folks listening, because I've seen this question in the group a few times,
Yes.
what do you do? Okay, so Google's your friend. But when I look at Google, I'm seeing these products priced at the same or higher at
Ooh.
places like Walmart and Target and TikTok Shop and eBay.
Yes. Okay.
So where are we going wrong here?
hmm Hey, sorry for the interruption, but we'll get back into the episode in just a moment. I wanted to tell you about today's sponsor, Cindy Smith. If you've got bookkeeping, tax questions involving your e-commerce, Amazon, eBay business, whatever it is you're doing online, odds are your local accountant just doesn't quite get it when it comes to e-commerce. How about you reach out to someone on our team who's been with us a long time? I'm talking about Cindy Smith. That's Jimmy Smith's mom. She actually created the content inside the Proven Amazon course that a lot of our sellers use to help them do it themselves. But if you don't want to do it yourself, you're not an accounting person, hey, call who we trust, Cindy Smith. Go to silentjim.com/ask Cindy. You can ask your questions, get set up. She'll do your bookkeeping, record keeping for you. She can prepare your taxes. She can help you with tax planning, all things e-commerce and taxes. Call Cindy. She's fantastic. She's been in our community a long time. She loves serving this community. And today she's a great sponsor of our show. Thank you, Cindy. Reach out to her at silentjim.com/ask Cindy. There's a link in the show notes as well. Let's get back to today's episode.
At places like Walmart and Target and TikTok Shop and eBay.
Yes. Okay.
So where are we going wrong here?
There is a strategic, because when you said you couldn't find them, I was thinking you couldn't find anywhere to buy it, which is a different challenge than I'm trying to find it somewhere cheaper than Amazon.
Sorry, that is what I meant.
Right?
Yes.
No, but that's perfectly fine. I mean, I love that you because a lot of new sellers do the same thing, and we end up answering the wrong question. If you can find a source for it, the work is done. I don't care what the price is; it's irrelevant. You throw that ASIN into 3P Mercury and you start tracking it. 3P Mercury is going to tell you when the stars align, and that may never happen. But if and when it does, you will know about it. And it's not going to be, oh, look, there's a sale at Walmart or a sale at Target or Costco or a sale on this website. Go get that sale. That's not what we're looking for. You can do well chasing sales and discounts and playing the price game. But the aha moment comes when you realize at any given time, there are at least 1 million, if not 2 or 3 million products that are steady sellers on Amazon, meaning 50 or more confirmed purchases by shoppers per month or more. And of those 1 to 3 million products at any given time, they are unstocked entirely or understocked to the point where you can go pay full price at Walmart. And I don't care that the buy box is the same. Here's the scenario that kind of drives this point home. You've probably do you shop on Amazon much yourself?
I do.
Okay, so you've done this before. We've all done this. 95% of shoppers on Amazon have done this. You hop on there. Your options are either Amazon's going to have it or I'm going to have to start the great hunt, right? And search Walmart, Target, wherever, hop in my car 3 hours later. Oh, I guess no one has it, right? So your decision is convenience or go spend some time finding this thing. And you're really hoping for the convenience of Amazon when you hop on. Here's the product, exactly what you need. 5 sellers, cool. Price 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. One of them's winning the buy box. But you look at the date, and that date is 7 days from now for the best price. And you think to yourself, I don't need this next Monday. I need it tomorrow. Is there any better shipping time than a week from now? Hey, seller number 4 has it. Now he's charging $15 more than the first guy, but he can have it to me by 8 p.m. today. Yeah, sold. For $15, I don't have to get in my car and drive to possibly 2-3 different stores looking for them. Yeah, sold. Done.
Yeah.
So what have I just done there? If you connect the dots through millions of transactions every day, at that seller who sold it to you for $15 more than buy box, he was helping fill underserved shelf space. You with me?
Yeah.
So it's no longer about, well, the buy box is $20 and Walmart's selling it for $20. So no opportunity, move on. No, huge mistake. Because if there's only one unit sitting in LA and one unit sitting in Boston, and I live in Dallas, I'm going to either have to wait 4 days to get it, or I'm going to have to get in my car and drive to Walmart. If there had been just one seller, send in 1 or 2 units, and Amazon disperses this automatically for us in their warehouse network, and there happened to be one sitting down the road, suddenly my problem is solved, and I don't care that the price is more. You with me? So you price aggressively, and you fill that underserved shelf space, and you can pretty much ignore the buy box, which is actually a module in our training. I created the module called Ignore the Buy Box, teaching this concept, really driving home. Basically, the point is start your prices high on underserved and unstocked listings. So it's no longer about hopping on Google and going, oh, look, Walmart's selling it for half the price of Amazon. Found a winner. You can play the game that way, but you're going to overlook literally millions of winners playing the game that way.
Gotcha.
Is all that making sense so far?
That makes a lot of sense. And thank you for that. I was going to ask you a little bit about FBA versus FBM. These 20 products I've sold, I've shipped from my house. But I now don't think I need to ask that question because I think it was sort of answered in your last comment.
Well, you can kind of connect the dots, and I think I know what's happened in your mind. You're a sharp dude. It makes a lot of sense to do FBA because customers, you're giving them a fast shipping speed. I say all the time, the guy across the street from you could be an Amazon seller selling merchant fulfilled out of his garage. It's going to take 3 or 4 days for you to get that product.
Right.
Whereas if it's in an FBA warehouse in your zip code, you could have it 20 minutes from now in some areas.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So the speed that people are willing to pay for and the convenience that shoppers are willing to pay for creates massive opportunities in Amazon's catalog.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. And actually answers my other question, which was even further afield, which was one of the businesses I looked at sort of used this model that was essentially you wait, and this is obviously an FBM type model, but you wait. Let me back up. So I see a product or I source a product, but can I wait for somebody to buy the product before I go buy it myself and fulfill it? And obviously the FBA model, that's a non.
It's impossible with FBA.
Yeah.
With merchant fulfill, you might think, well, I can just list products for sale. And as I make sales, scurry out real quick and buy one.
Yeah.
At scale, that model is called drop shipping. And it's on our top 10 list of the worst decisions many new sellers make. You can hop on TikTok right now, Instagram, you can find YouTube. Drop shipping is awesome. $0 needed for your inventory. You just list a whole bunch of products. Then when something sells, you scramble off and get it.
Yeah.
The problem with that is, and this is what destroys literally every seller who tries that model, is at scale, which is what you have to do to make any money with that model. At scale, you are finding zero inventory available challenges constantly, which come to find out Amazon doesn't like, because put yourself in the shopper's shoes. Yay, they got my product at a price I like, sold. Oh, sorry, the order got canceled because the seller doesn't actually have any of that item.
Right.
It happens a lot. You may look and go, oh, okay, all the stuff I'm selling is in stock this morning. I've got ample coverage. If any of that sells, I can go grab one, buy it real quick if I need it. But by that time, by noon that same day, someone has bought all 800 units of whatever it is that you've got for sale. And someone comes along because they can't find it anywhere else because it's getting harder to find. And they order your unit that you haven't purged out of your catalog yet.
Right.
And you have 0 units and you're canceling orders.
Yeah.
You don't have to cancel many orders as a seller on Amazon before they drop kick you to the curb hard. You're gone. And they keep all your money too. So, because it's a violation of their terms of service. Don't sell things you don't have.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Basic rule, right? Drop shipping is a disaster. Now, I've successfully drop shipped on a handful of occasions where I say, if you've got a relationship with your inventory source, like you know each other's kids' birthdays and they're down the street and they've got their inventory on reserve off to the side just for you and it's not going anywhere. Okay, now we can drop ship.
Yeah.
But if they're selling it without you knowing it and you don't have real-time stats where if they get down to less than 5 units, you let me know, buddy, because I'm pulling that product off of my catalog. Yeah. If you don't have that level of control, you're just asking for a disaster, which is what most people find themselves in, a total disaster. They start making sales on something and come to find out their source has 0 availability and then they're booted. It happens all the time.
Makes sense.
Great question.
I have one more question if we have time.
Of course, man. I'm loving this. I think it's very helpful for others as well.
Yeah, I'm hoping this one is something other new sellers have come across. I've read about the sort of the perils of generic. It feels like, but maybe correct me if I'm wrong, that there's products that aren't generic, but they don't necessarily have like a brand name associated with them. Mm-hmm. I found that I'm ungated in a bunch of those. Mm-hmm. Maybe they're just generic, so I'm not sure. Mm-hmm. Because when you then go to try to source them, obviously it's a little harder to source because you're really trying to find that exact match. And so I don't know. I had some links, but obviously that's a tough one here on a podcast. But is that should sellers just consider those generic unless if it's just not obvious that there's a name brand or
I'll help you with your thought process and your terminology here. What you're looking for are, let's use the word viable, okay? Meaning at the right price, this is a product. I know where I can go to source it. I know I'm selling on a legitimate ASIN that's not going to get me in trouble, mm-hmm. right? If I sell against it, it's not going to violate a rule or a policy or end up with some kind of negative consequence. It's a good ASIN. It's a viable ASIN. Some of the things that make what you might think otherwise good ASINs not good ASINs are a generic brand. In the brand field, where it should say, let's just use a car brand. It should say Ford because we're selling an F-150 here in the listing. It should say Ford in the brand, but it doesn't say Ford. It says F-O-R-D. Like that's not the brand properly spelled the way that the brand would want itself to be represented. So that is a misbranded ASIN. If it says generic in the brand field, that is also a misbranded ASIN. The brand field is incorrect. If the brand field is incorrect, that ASIN, that listing, its days are numbered. And worse yet, Amazon may have a consequence, a negative consequence of some sort. It typically just means they're going to shut it down and return your inventory. But sometimes they will slap you harder than that for selling on misbranded ASINs. So generic, it's misbranded. Spelling the brand wrong is incorrect. Someone putting their own kid's name in there as the brand is misbranded, right? Anything that leads to misbranded, avoid. If you're not sure, find out. Look at the package, examine it. What is the brand, right? Look at other listings by that brand. Does the brand field match? So as you're looking at the ASIN on Amazon.com, as you're looking at the listing, it'll have a field brand with a colon, and it'll have a word there. And that brand has to match the brand of the product that's being sold. If it doesn't, don't sell it.
Yeah.
It's that simple. So you want to fill your catalog with properly branded ASINs that you have a source for. And then let the software monitor that list of ASINs and tell you when the seller count is dropping and the price is rising or whatever other filters you want to set up that indicate this thing is understocked or unstocked And the pricing opportunities are now available to you to take advantage of that.
Got it. Makes sense. And yeah, this has been really, really helpful for me,
Good.
hopefully for others. And yeah, I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Any other questions on your mind?
I mean, I got 100, but those are the ones I sort of prepped that I
Those are the
thought
big
would
ones?
be, those are the
Yeah.
big ones that I thought would be, hopefully most folks are now really, they have good tools to figure out at least a list of ideas, right?
Mm-hmm.
Here's ASINs,
Mm-hmm.
here's products you could sell.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Well, let me
and
spend
so
a little bit
that,
of time on one of the challenges that you're probably running into, and that's gating,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Gating and ungating. Among the leadership team, we call that a molehill that feels like a mountain for literally every single new student who comes into our community. It's like we're asking them to climb Mount Everest until they realize it's like, oh, well, that wasn't so bad. You have this concept that there's 10 base camps to the peak, and you're like, you get
yeah,
halfway to the first base camp, and then the mountain vanishes. You're like, oh, okay, well, that wasn't that bad. But you do have to start off, and it does feel difficult initially. But what's going on there is Amazon doesn't know, like, and trust you yet. And the only way to get them to know, like, and trust you is transactions. And
yeah,
they're going to put all kinds of barriers and walls between themselves and you until they know, like, and trust you. And then those walls all get blown over. And they sometimes slowly, sometimes rapidly, the walls just kind of crash. And then you'll be finding yourself more and more ungated. And there's still, I've been doing this a long time, and there are still tens of thousands of brands I've never even seen. And I'll go to attempt to get ungated for some, and they'll say, congratulations, based on your selling history, you're allowed to sell this brand. And other brands I'll apply, and I'll say, sorry, we're not taking any applications right now.
mhm,
Okay. You just keep trying. As Nate, our coaching director, says, next case, next race. Just keep trying. The more Amazon knows, likes, and trusts you, the stronger of a history you develop with them, the more you're going to see these gates falling open. But what you don't want to do is skip over those ASINs that you're gated on, thinking, another one I'm gated on. Daggone it, can't sell that one. No, that doesn't make it not a viable ASIN. Eventually, it will likely be. You want to keep an eye on it. Let the software track it, because when it pops up and 3P Mercury waves a flag and goes, hey, here's an interesting one, come take a look. And you go look at it, you go, oh, I'm gated. Well, you might attempt to get ungated, and the switch flips and you're ungated. You're like, oh, win-win. 3P Mercury found it, got ungated today. Let's go. Right. So you want to stack your catalog. We call it your ASIN list, your list of products. We call it your catalog. You want to fill your catalog with both gated and ungated
yeah,
ASINs. And one of the other good things about 3P Mercury is there's a list. It's 1,000 brands right now. It'll be a couple thousand, I think I heard soon, if it's not already, that you can go in day one as a 3P Mercury user and just say, hey, check all these brands for me and see which ones I'm gated and ungated on. And inevitably, we have brand new sellers who find 40, 50, 80, 120 brands that they didn't realize they were ungated on, that they can starting to earn Amazon's trust by selling, even at break even. Like those first 20 transactions you've had so far, Michael, if those were just used books off your bookshelf that you sold for a couple bucks each, you didn't make any money after shipping, whatever. But you got the wheels turning, and you're indicating to Amazon that you're someone that can be trusted to actually deliver product to the customers.
yeah,
Those gates will start to fall open for you. But it's very frustrating if you're looking for something that's profitable at buy box. I got to make money the first sale I make. And until I find something profitable, I'm going to keep pounding the weeds, and I'm going to keep scanning barcodes, and I'm going to keep doing my research. No, that's just a tough way, because you're not ungated for much at all day one. And the last thing I'll say on this point, and see what else you have on your mind. There's a post in our Facebook group that I created a short link, redirect link to point to. It's silentjim.com/ungating. It's a free post. It talks you through all of that plus some on that topic of ungating, even ideas like I just mentioned, sell 10, 15 used books that you don't need anymore, or go to Goodwill and grab a few, and make sure they're relatively popular so they'll sell fast,
yeah.
price them cheap, prove to Amazon that you actually ship product when something sells, or send them in FBA, right? So you're getting some sales, and that's when the gates start falling open.
Makes sense and sounds good. And yes, some of those were books sitting around the house. So
That's a good way to start. I don't recommend that as a business model to scale,
yeah,
but it's a good way to get the wheels turning and earn a little trust.
yeah. So somebody asked this in the group, and I think I'll ask you for some broad guidance to the listeners and me on the time record. So you back to your story, the software tracks its time, go get this product, send it in. What do you like general guidance on the time it takes to do that and the concerns people might have that, well, I'm probably not the only one doing that. And then a week goes by till they actually have it in the warehouse. And now the landscape has changed. What if you follow
I'm
me?
with you. Let me illustrate an interesting business model that one of the students in our community was doing successfully last time I talked to him that I think speaks to the point you're making. But then I've got good news for you. What this student did, and I don't recommend this model because it's a hustle model, is stores like Kroger will have buy two, get one free, Jif peanut butter or whatever, like, unusually low price, and they run in cyclical. He would run out, clear the shelves of the most aggressively discounted products, list them that same day as merchant fulfilled, beating all the other sellers at a lower price point that's still profitable for him at scale. And because he was fast to hop on these popular items, he would sell a lot every day and be sold out within 2 or 3 days, while the FBA sellers were still putting it in a box and sending it in and waiting for it to get put on FBA shelf and then go up for sale a week or two later when all the other people who were hitting the sale and sending it in FBA. And so then all this stuff shows up priced low and everyone's beating the crud out of each other, price tanking. Oh no. Right. As everyone's trying to drop their price and get rid of their inventory. What happened? Well, you shopped a sale, dude, just like everyone else. That's what happened. That's why we don't teach shopping sales and discounts as a scalable model. Now you can find some decent, we say, don't walk past the clearance aisle. If there's $20 bills laying there, go ahead and grab a few. Your Walmart clearance aisle is different than the one down the street even. So yeah, sometimes there's some decent stuff there. That's not a scalable business model.
Right.
Let's
Yeah.
get to your point. We see an ASIN. 3P Mercury says, hey, here's a good one. So you hop on it, you send in some inventory. I can tell you that you're not going to run into a lot of other people. At this point, there's not enough 3P Mercury users to have to even be a concern. There's 1.4 billion ASINs on Amazon US. It would take us 35 years or something, one to look at each of them 1 second at a time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And 3 months from now, it's going to be a different catalog entirely, probably anyway. It's like it's turning over rapidly, new products coming in, right? So massive, massive. The number of people even using this business approach is far smaller than anyone might imagine. But the more ASINs you have in your catalog, the less likely it becomes that that's going to ever be an issue. Kang, the creator of 3P Mercury, because he's been stacking ASINs forever, is coming up on 100,000 ASINs that he's tracking with 3P Mercury. I've interviewed students recently on our podcast who had catalogs of 100 to 500 ASINs, doing 5 figures a month using 3P Mercury. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The more ASINs you have, the more options you have to. In Kang's case, for example, he says many of the things he's buying are completely unstocked. There's no sellers. It was popular, but then the seller count dropped and dropped and dropped and dropped. No one has any right now. So he goes, buys a bunch. He's like, that's the top of his list of most desirable ASINs any given day is stuff that's completely unstocked. So even if another 2, 3, 4, 5 sellers jump on it, it's a popular product that's unstocked. Amazon has 200 plus warehouses. Unless someone goes out and buys 50,000 units for pennies on the dollar, you're going to be good to go, especially in light of we encourage the inch deep, mile wide. So in Kang's case, Brian and Robin Joy Olson, the way they teach, so many of our coaches now are teaching. Not everyone does it this way, but the super safe way to play this game to avoid this scenario where, oh no, I sent in 50 units and then 18 other sellers sent in a combined 50,000 units because it was a good ASIN suddenly.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about that scenario ever if you're only sending in 5, 10, 20 units at a time ever of anything. Diversify your risk.
Yeah.
Right? That prevents you from ever having that worst case scenario, which is a product you can't sell even at a loss. You don't ever have to worry about that. Your worst case scenario becomes break even. If you're doing the game right, your worst case scenario is like, oh wow, Amazon just bought 30,000 units of that. I'm going to cut and run. I only got 20 units. All right. So I lost $8 total when it's all said and done. I'm out, and I'll keep an eye on the ASIN and hop back on it again later with a few units when it looks attractive again. That's how you, so it's not about speed, although speed certainly helps. If you can be the first one there and first available, what you're going to experience is as soon as the inventory leaves your house or your prep center on its way to Amazon's FBA warehouse, as soon as that happens and you've told Amazon, hey, I've got 8 units of this on the way, they're going to put them up for sale. And you'll see sales happen quite often before it even gets there, which is why as a shopper, you've seen Prime 5-day delivery. Like, wait, I thought Prime was supposed to be 1 or 2 days. Well, it's product that's on its way to a warehouse. They got to open it, unpack it, get it on the shelf, and then they can pull it. That takes time. So they know it's on the way and they're selling it while it's on the way. So it's not like you have a huge advantage in living close to the warehouse or right at 250 warehouses and you're selling popular products. Just the gap of opportunity is so massive that it's not a matter of beating the other sellers to the punch. That's really not the game at all.
Yeah.
It's just not. Unless you're trying to sell sales discounts that are nationwide. Now you got to beat people to the punch because there's a lot of sellers doing the exact same thing at the same time. We don't play that game.
Gotcha.
We dig for the underserved, understocked, unstocked. And the odds of others jumping on there with you is so slim, even if they do.
Yeah.
No big deal.
Got it. Okay. This has been amazing. I learned a lot, things that'll help me. Hopefully it will help others.
I think it will for sure. Yeah. And these are the kind of questions we answer quite a bit. So yeah, excited for your journey. And for the record, I know you'll appreciate this. Some people aren't concerned about this as much, but I think this will resonate with you. The thing that 3P Mercury is doing for our industry is it's turning these businesses we're building into sellable assets. Your catalog of ASINs that could be handed to someone else to manage is a sellable asset.
Yeah.
It's a predictable machine that you're handing to them. Now, you mentioned the electronics, and I want to end with a question. If you happen to know the answer, this business you almost bought that sent you down this road of like, I think I could just go find these same products and sell them myself.
Yeah.
How many ASINs did they have in their catalog, if you happen to remember or know?
Yeah, he has like 2,000,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
something like that. And I think obviously there's a huge percentage of sales are within a small number of those, but
Pareto, 80-20, right?
Yeah.
Top 20% of his catalog is 80% of his revenue, right? Which is going to be true for any size catalog. But did he have any unique sourcing positions for those products that you know of? Meaning like a unique relationship that got him a discount that others just couldn't get somehow that you know of?
No.
I doubt he did. It's unusual that he would.
I don't think
I wouldn't think so.
He didn't. No.
Okay. So and if you don't mind me asking, what were they? Give me the big numbers. What were they asking? What were they selling? I just want to help pick this thing apart for you and for other listeners without identifying the company. Obviously, please don't do that. But
yeah. So let me think about what numbers I can share. I can tell you that they're asking for mid 6 figures. The multiple was like 1.5 or something on profit.
Okay. Right.
Yeah.
Right. So they're doing 250, 300 profit, and they're asking for, or maybe 400, and they're asking for. Yeah, I got you. Okay.
Yeah, those are about.
Yeah,
right.
the rough numbers, and they're doing millions in sales to get there. Yeah, I'm with you.
Yep.
Yeah, that building that business is far less work and expense with the tools and resources available to you now that you're learning than what they were asking.
Yeah.
I mean, not even close.
Yeah.
Just not even close. A catalog of 2,000 ASINs sounds impressive until you realize we have training that even the greenest of newbies are jumping into and finding hundreds of ASINs per research session that they're pouring into their catalog.
Yeah.
I can tell you that company that was trying to sell that catalog of 2,000 ASINs for, mid six-figure price, they would absolutely love 3P Mercury just to dump their whole database into and let it begin tracking and telling them which ones make the most sense, right?
Yeah.
Because if they don't have any special discount, relationship with any of those brands sort of thing, which some people play that game and they go down that trail, which is why I say everyone's race looks a little different. For example, we've got a gentleman in our community who only sources direct from manufacturers who live in his area. So he's aggressively going after every company that makes products that are sold on Amazon and pounded on their door till they made a deal with him to buy in bulk.
Mm-hmm.
And he doesn't have to ship it anywhere except straight to an Amazon warehouse, because these are people who live in his zip code.
Yeah.
That's his strategy. He's negotiated ridiculously good prices. He uses his own truck, pulls up to their dock, loads it himself, takes all the inconvenience out of the picture for the product producer, and just buys direct at ridiculously low prices in bulk. That's his pricing advantage. His catalog of ASINs is worth more than if you or I built that same catalog of ASINs, because now we're sourcing it and it has to be shipped to our state. And there's freight charges and there's unpacking and packing stuff that's going on that he doesn't have to worry about. You see, so there's many ways to play this game. Relationships become the advantage. So if there's no unique advantages in that catalog that you were considering buying, you've made a very good decision to build your own version of that exact same catalog with maybe instead of 2,000, maybe 20,000, 50,000 ASINs, and let the software tell you which ones make the most sense. And that sort of thinking and that sort of strategy has never been possible until just recently. We're teaching you how to find the ASINs in bulk. We're teaching you how to load them into 3P and set up the filters to track them. And at this point, it's such a small community of us who are using that strategy. The next several years look really, really good. And Amazon's catalog continues to explode. Mm-hmm. So I would say the next 5 to 10 plus years look really good for this business model from my standpoint. So yeah, good episode, man. Appreciate you spending some time. Anything else pop to your head as we're wrapping this one up? I want to be respectful of your time.
No, yeah, this is great. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate your time, Michael. Well, let me talk to the listeners who hung out with us for a few minutes today. This was an unusual episode. Thanks for hanging out with Michael and I today. If you want to hear success story episodes for people who are a little further down their journey than Michael is, people who've been here 6 months, a year, maybe they've built a 5-figure, 6-figure per month business, and you want to hear their backgrounds and their stories, that's what most of our episodes are, is those kind of conversations. We'd love to have you listen to a few more episodes to check those out. But thanks for listening to us today. We'll have more great episodes for you very soon. Talk to you then. Hey, thanks for listening to today's episode. Before I let you go, a quick reminder, you want to go to silentjim.com/ask Cindy to talk to someone about your accounting, bookkeeping, tax planning needs. They're very unique as an e-commerce business owner, and odds are you're having trouble finding someone local who gets it. You're probably paying more in taxes than you should be. Have a conversation with Cindy and her team. Tell them we sent you. Go to silentjim.com/ask Cindy to get all the details. Thanks for listening. We'll have more great episodes for you very soon.